Hi, my name is Tahira Chavez, and today I will be talking about Jamaica Kincaid. For her early life, Jamaica was born on May 25th, 1999. She was born in St. John's, Antigua. She goes by the name as Elaine Porter Richardson before she changes her name to Jamaica Kincaid. Her mother was a homemaker and her father was a carpenter. She grew up with three brothers, and because her mom had three brothers, her mom like resented her after that for some reason. And she writes about that. Um, she also grew up in poverty. At 16, her mom took her out of school to take care of the family. She was the top of her class. She was doing very well in school. And at 17, her mother sent her to Scarsdale to work as an au pair. She took community classes in the evening as well. And the reason her mom did this was because she wanted her to send money back to the family. But Kincaid was like, no. And she basically cut off her family for about 20 years. After that, she quit and she attended Franconia College in New Hampshire on a full ride scholarship. But approximately 1 year later, she dropped out and she began writing for a girls' magazine. And this is where she changed her name to Jamaica Kincaid. And she also published her first writing working there. So for her career and her like marriage life, she was married to a composer named Alan Shawn, who I believe is the brother of an actor named Wallace Shawn. But she later divorced him in about 2002. But during the marriage, they had a daughter named Annie and a son named Harold. And she started writing for The Village Voice and Ingenie. Her short fiction appeared in the Paris Review and in the New Yorker. So Kincaid wrote a lot. She wrote fiction, short stories, novels, nonfiction, children's literature. She didn't stray away from anything. So for fiction, she wrote Obando, The Finishing Line, Biography of a Dress, Song of Roland, Exula. And for her short story, she wrote At the Bottom of the River. For her novels, she wrote Annie John, Lucy, The Autobiography of My Mother, Mr. Potter, See Now Then. And for the nonfiction and children's literature, she wrote Annie, Gwen, Lily Pam, and Tulip. For the fiction, she wrote a lot. So Antigua, A Deep and Blue Passage on the Caribbean Sea, Figures in the Distance, On Seeing England for the First Time, Out of Kenya, Flowers of Evil, In the Garden, A Fire by Ice, Just Reading in the Garden, Alien Soil in the Garden, The Other Eden, The Season Pass, In Roju, In History, and my favorite plant writers and gardeners on the plants they love. So for awards, she won a lot of awards, which I'm not going to read them all because it was a lot. But I thought it was kind of interesting because, she received a lot of criticism for her works. Some people were saying it was tough to swallow reading her works, saying that her books were overrated. Some also were saying that her writing was stressful and political. But, that didn't really stop her from winning all these awards or being a great writer. She kept going. And I think that's really inspiring, honestly. So in this interview, it talks about her writing and how she became a writer and got into it. There's a 55-minute video, but this is just a 2-minute clip from the video.
In Brooklyn, and I took some notes. Then I made a summary of some other things. So I gave him sheets of paper, and I thought he would give them to George or somebody to rewrite. Lo and behold, they were published just the way I wrote them. And I read it, and I said to myself, oh, so this is my writing. And this was a crucial thing in my writing life, in that it taught me that it taught me about what my voice was, that it was something, I want to say, well, my voice was me, but that sounds awfully like something Dr. Oz would say, or Dr. Ville or something like that. But it wasn't that at all. It was actually, it had this existential quality to it. And that's how I followed, that's what I followed, that I could hear that the thing I was thinking was the thing I should write. And then it took me back to my childhood of telling you that I could write before I could read, because I knew something. And I may not always, I do not, in fact, ever have the words of a conventional writer. And it took me, and still to this day takes me, an enormous amount of something you'd call courage to understand that the thing I am doing is not what you would find in Shrunken White or something. Right. That Shrunken White or
the conventional.
The conventional was of no use to me. I'm not capable of it. I have admiration for it, not affection.
So I thought that was a really great interview. Her going into depth about how she got into it and, all that. So for the connection, for my comparison and contrast essay, I did it on The Princess Diaries by Meg Cabot and Girl by her. So for the two, I basically compared them as similar because they both are about the pressures of society, In Princess Diaries, she is told that she has to change herself to become the proper princess, like because she's this awkward, unpopular, kind of geeky girl, and her looks are just not where they think it's socially acceptable. And it kind of reminded me of Girl, how women are told, in the story, she's like, you don't want to be looked upon as a whore. You must learn how to cook, clean, and do all this um stuff as a woman. Like you have to live your life this certain way to be considered like a decent girl, I guess. And it was the same way with the Princess Diaries. And I also said how in neither one they never talk about how the prince or the boy should look, or act or do any of the things that they're criticizing women about how they're living, like they never state, oh, the prince should be this way and he should look this and act this way, or the boy should act this way. And I just thought it was kind of interesting, that there's always a spotlight on women and how um we as women are seen in society. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and I actually enjoyed uh doing this essay on both the stories. So is this the end? It is the end of my presentation, yes, but it's not the end for Jamaica Kincaid. I was reading some articles online about how she's not ready to retire yet, and I don't know if she's gonna come out with any more uh literature work or anything like that, but she does do interviews and stuff, and she does attend things. So for my first works cited thing, I posted the interview she recently did in 2019. And then these are my two sources that I worked from. And I really enjoyed doing this project. It was actually quite interesting learning about Jamaica and, learning about how a writer lives their life and their backstories and everything and comparing it to other work. It was just a great project. Thank you.